Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is Word Origins 174. The word origin today is trick or treat. Yeah, about a year or two ago, I actually did Word Origins on Halloween. So if you're interested in that, go check that one out too. But today the focus is on why we do the action of trick-or-treating and why kids say trick-or-treat. So if anybody wants a screenshot, take a look at the board, do it now. All right, let's get right to it. The words trick or treat is what children say when they knock on doors on Halloween, usually hoping to get candy. It is basically a request for goodies and at the same time possibly a threat to play tricks on those who refuse. To be honest with you, most kids never do tricks, even though that's what the idea is. When you say trick or treat, you're really saying either you give me a treat or I'm going to pull a trick on you, but most never pull a trick on them. There are some kids, even though it's a very small percentage, and usually it's after they stop trick-or-treating. I think most kids in the U.S. trick-or-treat probably until around the age of 10 or 11, and if there's going to be some kids that's going to do some naughty things, it's probably going to be ones that are after that, like they might put, I don't know, an egg in somebody's mailbox, or maybe they might toilet paper a tree on somebody's property or something, for the fun of it. But it doesn't happen that often. Most of trick-or-treating is just good fun. Little kids knocking on doors, looking cute, and people open the door and give them candy and say, oh, how cute they look, and then give them candy. That's what the far majority of trick-or-treating really is. Let's continue. The origin of trick-or-treating may date all the way back to the Middle Ages. There was a tradition called mumming, in which people went from door to door in costume, acting out short scenes of plays in exchange for food. So this is where the idea may have started from before it kind of formed into, a more like trick-or-treating. All right, let's continue. Others believe trick-or-treating derived directly from a Celtic festival from October 31st to November 1st to mark the start of winter. It was referred to as Samhain and was celebrated in what is Great Britain today, especially in Ireland and Scotland. Okay, let's continue. The festival took on more significance in the 9th century after the Catholic Church declared November 1st All Saints' Day. Thus, on the eve, the day before the eve of All Saints' Day, spirits, fairies, ghosts, etc. were let out to roam, and their spirits needed to be satisfied. So this is kind of where the idea came from. Remember, if you check out my Halloween video, you will see that the real phrase was All Hallows Eve. Hallow meant holy, and Eve meant the day before All Saints' Day, and that's what eventually formed into the word Halloween. All right, let's continue. It is believed people impersonated the spirits and received the offerings for them, because spirits couldn't do it themselves, so they dressed up for the spirit. That's why a lot of the original costumes were ghosts and witches and skeletons and fairies and angels and things like that. Thus the people personified the ghosts, so they were the ghosts in human form, to demand a reward so the people could have good fortune, or especially the next year for the harvest or something like that, so the weather would be good. The people doing the impersonating believed they would be rewarded with protection from spirits. So they thought, hey, if I'm helping the spirits out, they're going to reward me by, at least not scaring me or protecting me. The American version of Halloween is believed to come directly from Scotland, where they had the tradition of guising probably coming from to disguise yourself, wearing costumes. People dressed in costumes and visited homes to get cakes, fruit, money, etc. The earliest trick-or-treating in America started in Kingston, Ontario in 1911. So it actually started in Canada first, and was a copy of the Scottish guising. Okay. It soon spread into the U.S. and eventually developed into what it is today. The phrase trick or treat, though, is mostly American. That comes from the US and Canada, where, they knocked on the door and they decided to say trick or treat. Okay. And we just have one example here, because everybody knows what trick or treating is. Here's the one example. I love to give candy to children in costumes when they say trick or treat on Halloween. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. Hope it's clear. Hope it's informative. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.